later. But I did hear some fantastic comments, and what I am going to do is, because unlike the speaker yesterday, one of the innovators yesterday, I didn't think I was going to tamper with tech. I was going to do a Menti. I am going to share the link of the Menti, and you can still do it, and you can add your thoughts. So please do write them out down the old-fashioned way, and we will ask the organizers to share the link, and you can put all your ideas there in terms of the mapping that you did to go and look at in terms of ethics, inclusion, and accountability. How applicable would this model framework be for KZN? But to move forward then in terms of the presentation, because I've got all of 5 minutes now to speed things up. So, oh, I'm moving there, but okay. So, that's why I always believe that academia is so important, is because we always, when we start to look at things with a lens, and we start to look at, is it working, what are people doing, we look to academia, or we look to the foresters of the world, the consulting firms. We say, what are you seeing in terms of best practice? And basically what research is telling us, research on the net, you can do that ChatGPT and you say, what is research telling us? What are the key enablers in terms of digital leadership for transformation? Because it is digital leadership for transformation. It's not just digital leadership. What are some of the things that are kind of key? The first is strategic vision and transformation. So I've got a pic there of an innovation that I was very privileged to see. And I was triggered by it in the conversation that also happened in one of the panels yesterday, where they had the head of Standard Bank sitting here on the panel. And one of the members of the audience then asked a question around, difficulties around getting into banks, etc. So one of the innovations which was pitched at the G20 International Innovation Challenge was a South African startup. And they developed a very cool piece of technology. Okay, there is a purpose. I do talk a lot. That's why they gave me the name tag that says speaker. I talk a lot. But they created this Inkosi money. And it turns the banking industry on its head. However, they did get accreditation to be a financial institute, despite the innovation. The transformative innovation or disruptive innovation. So basically, if you go and apply for a loan today, you'll probably get it, most of you, well, I hope, because you've got a steady income, you've got a credible track record in terms of your credit rating. And if you hear what the minister said yesterday, what was some of the disappointments for him was the SPAZA initiative, only 5% of SPAZA shop owners who applied for this subsidy got it because they didn't meet the requirements. So they've turned this on its head. They actually say, in South Africa, and this is very true, you'll find it relatable, most of our population don't have a steady income, but they earn money, and it's in cash. Their income doesn't come in on the 15th of the month like us yesterday. It was payday for us. That's why many of us are looking glazed eyed. Or on the 30th of the month, but they have an income. So when they apply for a loan, they're not going to get it. This says you look at an individual where they are within a South African context. Acknowledge that they get cash. Secondly, acknowledge that the income comes in drips and pieces. So therefore, they can still pay that debit order, but they'll do it maybe 5 times over a month instead of once. They developed a voucher system. You take to a SPAZA shop and you exchange your voucher for points. Look out for this innovation, because I'm telling you, it's going to really turn our informal sector into something wonderful. So I use that as an example because one of the key or most important jobs of digital transformation, digital leader, is that you have to drive long-term digital change with agility. It's not, okay, here's the textbook, follow step 1 to 5, and you'll get there. It's about being deliberate about your leadership, putting yourself out there. The IT people in the room may be able to relate to this. It's no longer waterfall and big bang. We now, and one of the innovators spoke about it yesterday, talk about MVPs, minimum viable products. We develop something small, we scale it, we push it out. So it's about thinking differently around strategy. It's about agile leadership and communication. And most importantly, and one of the speakers spoke about it yesterday, it's about navigating the bureaucracy so that it works for you. Because if we all were going to say we can't do it because the policy says no, would Inkosi money have seen the light? Right? They made a bold decision to develop an application for citizens which will add value. And they got it right. So, yes, bureaucracy, please, I don't want to lose my job, is important. The policy framework is very important. But as a transformational change agent, it's by looking at how does it work for me. Second is integration and leveraging existing applications. If you look at the strategy for KZN and you think about how much money it's going to cost in terms of doing that, you're probably never going to get out of the starting blocks. It's about looking at what are the initiatives that's happening there already. And that's why collaboration with partners are important. What are the initiatives that the tech partners are pushing out in terms of skills, in terms of connectivity, yada, yada, yada. You see them all in the exhibition area. How will that help us to achieve on what we have to achieve? That does not mean that we will not self-invest. That does not mean that as government, you cannot abdicate and say, okay, only the service providers or the tech partners are going to do it for us. Part of that strategic leadership is about leveraging off existing, but also doing it, looking at how you self-invest. The second one, because I've got to speed up now, is around capacity building. So if, like me, mathematics was not your desired subject, this will be very relatable. So when you go to school, they teach you, and what does that sum say? 2 plus 2 equals something. Then they tell you, okay, now you must go do homework. Then in the homework they tell you, 7 squared times 5 minus 8. But you only taught me 2 plus 2 in the class. And then in the exam, they ask you that difficult equation there. Now, when we look at capacity and bridging the skills gap, it is not just about the now training. It's the future training. It's about providing capacitation or skills that people can reuse across. So it's not just teaching them that 2 plus 2 equals 4. It's actually providing them with the skills so they can understand that last equation, which only my husband can do and not me. It's about providing training that fosters the fact that you've got to be resilient in terms of what you are teaching people today. But that capacity building and change management next to it is also about understanding what are the skills that you require for that digital workforce. Because like Jacinda said, she's going to be replaced. But what skills does she require so that that digital twin, Jacinda, that's the word, that digital twin that's going to replace her in the future does not come up with that mumble jumbo, that your ChatGPT, sorry, Jacinda. Pay attention in class, man. That mumbo jumbo. You must be able to, through your skills that you are providing with your staff as a digital leader, with those skills so that they can identify that, what it is that they require. Then, and my colleague is going to love this, the third one, if she'll look up and look at the picture, is about measuring impact. And I've spoken about this at length, Nomtomovuyo, but leadership is about putting yourself out there, saying, I want you to hold it up to the light. And in terms of the way that we've kind of done that in the Western Cape, and that's myself and Ntomovuyo, because I must use a full name now, sitting in a session, we invited industry to come and tell us how we are doing and to tell us how we could change the practice that we have. So measuring impact is a very important lever as a digital leader that you need to embrace in any transformation journey. And then last but not least, but one that I'm most passionate about, is people-centered leadership. That discriminates between an autocratic versus a democratic leadership style. And when we think differently around services, it's about thinking with the citizen first, thinking with the lens of empathy. Because as we witnessed here in the last panel discussion yesterday, there's a lot of frustration from startups around getting into government. Yes, we speak the good speak, and I see Imran Khan has arrived, so now I can kind of get to him, which I hoped I was going to do in my introduction. It is about including and citizens feeling that they're part of the conversation. So it's about empathy, it's about trust, it's about, and I will be thrown off the stage if I don't say this, it's about building with me and not for me. And people use different ways to say that, but it's about really doing this in a practical way. And then last but not least, and it was raised by one of the academics yesterday over lunch, because these summits are about what happens in the room, but also outside of the room. And he raised the aspect of ethical technology use. So part of that inclusion is also about acknowledging that what we put out there needs to be culturally sensitive, first of all, right, with the communities that we work in. But it's also got to take into account that there are environmental concerns. And we used to call it green IT and all other kinds of things. So yes, we're very excited about cloud. In fact, in the Western Cape, we've turned cloud on its head. And there's no one from CETA here today. The lady was here yesterday. We've de-risked ourselves from CETA. We now no longer use the CETA government cloud. We use other clouds, but we follow a hybrid model. So again, looking at what's going to work best. And one of the innovators yesterday was asked, and I thought he answered that. You should get a prize for answering that question beautifully. Because he was asked, I think it was by the Microsoft judge, why have you gone with Google? He said, because it made sense in terms of scope, scalability. He answered it beautifully. But anyway, I diverge. So those are the enablers. And again, if you overlay that, and I'm not going to let you do an activity because I've run out of time, with the spirit of ethics, inclusion, and accountability, how do you do it within this frame? So I'm going to flash very, very quickly a maturity ladder, again, which has been tested in research, etc., where we need to aspire to as digital leadership for transformation. And some of us are straddling different rungs of that ladder. Some of us are at 5, but we also have elements of 3. It's about us deciding where are we and where would we like to be. So if you just want to be digitally aware, that's okay. Because in terms of your journey, you're going to grow. It's not about all of us now wanting to be stage 5 in terms of digital transformation, but it is about acknowledging, and I will share the deck through the organizers around what are the stages, what the mindset should be in terms of each of the stages, and then how we can use technology to enable it. But colleagues, I've come to the end of my presentation, and I want to end with this to tell you that digital transformation or digital leadership for transformation is not a sprint. It's a marathon. It takes a long time to develop, to enable, and it can only succeed if you acknowledge that it is embedded within a change journey. So you are going to have people who's going to be stuck at stage 1, who's constantly going to be telling you, we don't need the change. And along the journey, you're also going to have people at stage 3, who's kind of saying, okay, maybe I'll change, maybe I won't change, who's in the bargaining stage. And then you'll have your acceptors. Those are all of you in this room, your early adopters. So I'm leave the question with you. We'll share Menti. What would you start doing differently today as a digital leader with transformation in mind? Okay, thank you very much. Those are my contact details. Please scan me. Oh, sorry. Maybe you can just go back.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Anissa. I just want to quickly have that so we can quickly scan Anissa and put this technology to test. Yeah, we want to make sure that you've given us the correct details. And congratulations for your Public Service Innovation Award in the United Nations. She's saying, oh, you Googled me. Well, it's a world of technology. Everything is in the palm of our hands. Right now, though, I'd like to take this opportunity, and as Anissa had said, that Mr. Imran Khan is actually here now. I was actually saying before you came that when I read the name, I thought Prime Minister of Pakistan. But then when they said that it's you, I got even more excited because then I'm like, Vodacom. I've been a Vodacom user for 25 years now, and I wanted to know if there's any reward that I might get for being such a loyal Vodacom customer. I mean, even through the ups and downs and the network breakages and all of that, I stayed loyal. I think I deserve to be wife material for Vodacom. Mr. Imran Khan, please come forward. Please give him a round of applause as he comes forward. Sure. Is this your pen as well?
Sanbonani, good morning. Firstly, my apologies. I see people are mentioning my name. I never like to be late for a meeting. I feel it's disrespectful to the audience. I was informed my slot was at 12 o'clock, I assure you. So for me, I'm on time. I'm actually early. Yeah? And there's definitely an award for a 25-year customer. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to everybody. I think, I'm not sure whether the politicians are here, whether they need to follow protocol, but I'm just going to say ladies and gentlemen. And it's a real pleasure to be here. I think the topics and the discussions of this summit are really close to our heart. And we have been engaging a lot with government around, closer? Yeah? I don't normally use a microphone. Yeah, sorry, where was, oh yeah, we have been talking a lot about the topic at hand, which is about youth skills. But there's a whole ecosystem that I will talk about that I'm hoping there are members in this organization or in this auditorium that will help us as well. So I just want to go back. It was a great experience yesterday with the Premier and going through the charter with him. And I want to repeat what he said or what's on that charter. We pledge to expand equitable access to digital infrastructure, tools, and services across KZN, ensuring affordable broadband for all citizens, bridge the urban and rural divide to leave no community behind, empower women, youth,